welcome to the HMNS Beyond Bones podcast. Of course, you've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Today was day 2 of HMNS Dino Dig 2022. That's a lot of 222s. Today we actually got our knives and brushes on the bones at the Wa Quarry. And I really can't think of a better way to kick off this podcast than with an interview with Peter Larson. I'm going to read a little bit of his biography here. Peter Larson is the president and founder of the Black Hills Institute, which is hosting us at the Wa Quarry, and he's actually prepared several of the dinosaurs and other skeletons that you see at our Morian Hall of Paleontology at HMNS. Peter led the team that excavated Sue, the largest and most complete specimen of Tyrannosaurus rex ever found to date as of recording. He has published numerous scientific and popular works on dinosaur paleontology. So let's talk to Peter, since he is leading the group. He is putting us on the dinosaurs. He's putting us on the bones. Let's talk to Peter now about Wa Quarry and why it's so special.
So we're sitting here in the Wa Quarry. It's in the Morrison Formation. The Morrison Formation here is approximately 145 million years old. And this is the site of an ancient stream channel. And we have what we call overbank deposits, which are floodplain deposits, and we have some freshwater limestones, which were probably the result of oxbow lakes, where you had a cut-off meander to the rivers. Mm-hmm. Along these rivers, we had several different kinds of dinosaurs that died right here and were buried by a flood event. So far, we have found the dinosaurs Camarasaurus, Barosaurus, and Brachiosaurus, which are all long-necked dinosaurs, all some pretty fantastic sort of standard Morrison dinosaurs. We also have found portions, lots of teeth and a few bones from Allosaurus, which is one of the main meat eaters. And we found one tooth, no bones yet. We're hoping to find more than that, but of a dinosaur called Torvosaurus, which was kind of like Allosaurus on steroids. It was actually a megalosaur, a much bigger predator that in some cases rivaled T-Rex in size. We also have little tiny dinosaurs like Ornitholestes, a little meat-eating dinosaur, and things like Drinker, which is a heterodontosaur-like beast that has just a very primitive ornithischian dinosaur loosely related to the duckbill dinosaurs. Camptosaurus we don't have. That's an iguanodontid, also related to the duckbills, but we have not found any bones of that yet. But we also have another plant eater, Stegosaurus. So we found actually the north half of a Stegosaurus going south. In other words, we have the pelvis and tail and the spikes and all this, and some of the rib cage and lots of vertebrae and ribs and foot bones, but we don't have a skull, unfortunately. We do have something more interesting about the dinosaurs is that these species here are all basically undescribed, with the exception of Barosaurus lentis, which is from the Black Hills Uplift. And that's because the Morrison Formation is present in South Dakota, in Montana, in Wyoming, in Utah, in New Mexico, even in Oklahoma. And in it, we find that the Morrison Formation actually spans as much as 8 million years, maybe even 10 million years. So the dinosaurs that are found here in the Black Hills Uplift, we're just a few miles north of Devil's Tower. Here's where our dig is. The dinosaurs that are found in this uplift are undescribed, with the exception of Barosaurus lentis, which was described by Marsh from the Black Hills, from near Piedmont, which is just north of Rapid City, South Dakota. We first came to this quarry, I believe it was 2001, and we were invited here by Leslie and Elaine Waugh, who own this property, and they said, we really want you to come and dig dinosaurs on our land, and they were so nice. And when I came up here, it is so beautiful. It is filled with trees. There's no running water nearby, so we have to carry our water in. But when you get too hot, you can go in the shade of a tree by just walking a few steps. It is completely unknown in any other dinosaur quarry that I know of that we have so many trees here. There's both oak and pine. And we're in the beautiful Black Hills, so it's just a wonderful place to come. Elaine Waugh has just recently passed away, but Leslie's still here, and his son Scott is taking care of the quarry now and helping, making sure that it stays safe while we're not here, and it's so he owns this land now, and so he's going to bring his father up here soon, so it'll be really fun to see him. This site was found by Elaine and her sister, who used to come up here when they were little kids and play with the chunks of dinosaur bones that were weathering out.
What can you tell us about the pit we're preserving over here? What bones are in there?
So one of the dinosaurs that we started digging here a few years back, we haven't been to the quarry for a while, so it was covered up, and we just uncovered these bones that we need to get out this season. And it's a good chunk of a barosaurus skeleton, so there's a whole mess of vertebrae from the tail, vertebrae from the body. I think I see there's at least one cervical vertebrae over there too. There's part of the pelvis there, and we're kind of hoping that the rest of the dinosaur is going to be close by. We should be running onto some limb bones pretty soon because they don't go very far. But you can see the bones are all kind of in one pile, and that's the way the dinosaurs occur here. So as we dig them, we have to map them. We create a 1 foot square grid that we draw the bones in so that we can help unwind the series of events that led to the preservation of each individual. And also, it helps us figure out what bones go to what dinosaur because we have not just one Barosaurus here, but we have at least 4 different Barosaurus skeletons here so far, and two different Camarasaurus skeletons, 2 different Brachiosaurs. Interestingly, we have 3 scapulas, 3 shoulder blades from Brachiosaurus. So 2 were right close to each other, and the other one was separated just right on the edge of the deposit. So we probably won't find more of that other Brachiosaur.
As you can hear, there was plenty of digging and brushing going on around the Waugh Quarry, so I thought, why not hear from our own paleontologist, David Temple?
Oh, Lord, I'm about to interview David Temple. David?
Yes, sir.
What can you tell us about the first day of Dino Dig 2022?
We are here in the Morrison, and we're at the original Jurassic Park, and we found small bone fragments and some other bits of bone. So there's some exposed, though, so it's obvious there's a lot of stuff here. And as we go on, next day, tomorrow, and as we go on for the rest of the week, we'll probably see a lot more.
Very good. We have 5 or 6 days left?
Yes, and so far it's been hot, but everybody's been holding up pretty good. Nobody's really complaining, and people are drinking a lot of water, and so it's going pretty good, pretty smoothly.
How do you think James Washington's doing?
James Washington? James Washington is doing very well, and his technique of building stairs is legendary. So everybody's commented on it. I don't think he's found any bone yet, but he's essentially cutting a trench. And there's a small fragment there.
Well, I'm going to go interview James right now. I'm going to start a new recording.
And we did just that.
James just asked if I want a serious recording or a goofy one. Whatever you want to give me, James. What's your experience first day Dino Dig 2022?
I'm having great. Everyone here is awesome. The Black Hills are awesome. Our guests, it's really fun. Except for David, of course.
Yeah, I was waiting. I said, what do you think about David?
It's been unbearable. I've dug in sweatshops, and it was better than this. I mean, David has single-handedly made this a hard experience for me.
So is he taking all your fossils and claiming them as his own?
Yes, he is.
And I think James has just found out this is one of those scared straight rehabs where they shift them out to the country and get them dried out. And it's part of our insurance policy, but that's why he's here.
So obviously none of that is true. Well, none or some. I'll leave it up to you to decide. Maybe we'll unravel the mysterious relationship between James Washington and David Temple as these podcasts continue. That's kind of a little side thread, a little side story, a side saga that we'll dig to the bottom of, pun intended, what's going on between James and David. But for now, I want to talk to a couple of our guides from the Black Hills Institute.
Alex, how do you think the HMNS crew is doing on the first day of Dino Dig 2022?
I think they're doing fantastic. You've got a great group of characters here, all kinds of different stories, and they all have a passion for science. They're all eager to learn. It's great.
Sharon, what do you think about our first day of Dino Dig 2022?
I think everybody's doing a really excellent job. They're really paying attention, really looking closely at what they're kind of digging through and making sure that they're asking questions, which is super important.
Is David Temple giving you any guff?
Not yet, but I'm expecting it.
Good.
David Temple's shenanigans aside, before you knew it, our HMNS crew was finding bones.
All right, Nick, so what have y'all found over here?
So we found bone fragments, but Matthew over here found a part of a rib bone. So we also found
part of the cervical rib.
Right. So we found some of this tree here. So Peter Larson said that since we found the tree, there might be bones around it, and he was right. And so I believe Monica and Matthew over here are doing the cervical rib. I think I might have found some more rib over here where I'm at. And I'm really excited because it looks pretty good. I'm just going to keep digging and, hopefully I find it.
Awesome.
So obviously finding bones is great, but how do you then get them out of the quarry? Well, let's ask one of the BHI staff who is currently doing just that.
Well, under this is a vertebra from a barosaur, from the base of the tail. And so we've gotten around it, and then we've stabilized it with glue, and then we covered it with foil and strapping tape, and now we're putting a plaster cap on it.
Will y'all add to that plaster? We put some burlap on there with other plaster to rigid it up more?
Yeah.
After it dries, where does it go from here? Or what happens next?
We'll pull it, we'll label it, and we'll probably put it in the shed till we leave, and then we'll take it back home with us to the museum.
Yeah, in some cases. And so we're
The Black Hills Institute?
Yep.
Museum at Black Hills Institute?
So you remember earlier when Peter Larson was talking about hoping to find Camptosaurus here at the Wa Quarry? Well, guess what?
This is Peter again. Peter, can you tell us about the teeth you found?
So, today we found the first example of Camptosaurus here at our quarry. So Camptosaurus was an iguanodontid, was basically a primitive duck-billed dinosaur. And that's very cool because we've been digging here since like 2001 and have never found the slightest hint of one of those guys. Wow. And there it was, and it's shaped just like similar to the duck-billed Edmontosaurus annectens teeth that we find in the Hell Creek Formation and stuff, and in which the Houston Museum has 2 mounted skeletons. Mm-hmm. So in addition to that, then Dan found a little vertebra. It's only about 1 centimeter long and about 2/3 of a centimeter wide. It's not a complete vertebra, but it's the centrum from a little hypsilophodon, probably something at least like drinker, one that Bob Bacher described. And then there was another little tooth that looks like it's one of the Coelurosaur teeth. So from a small little raptor. And so I'm not sure which one because there are a number of them that are described, and hopefully we'll be able to figure it out. And then there was a pretty good-sized Allosaurus tip found also.
Then, as it happens, my interview with Peter was interrupted by a little girl who walked up with something very fascinating.
Look what Brooklyn just found.
Holy crap, Brooklyn. So look at this.
It was like 3 feet from the one Sharon found. She was showing Brooklyn the one she found. Brooklyn's like,
what is that?
What about this?
Yeah.
And you're just like Sharon, you're missing the tip too.
That was on the surface, though.
That's very cool. Oh yeah, so here Brooklyn, who's Sharon Weaver is our resident doctor. So she's got her PhD in paleo, but
I found those too.
Her small child just found this really, really nice Allosaurus tooth. It's just missing the tip, but it's about a little more than 1 centimeter, maybe 1.2 centimeters wide, and it's 2 centimeters long. And it's beautiful. It's got serrations, and it's just everything that you'd ever want in an Allosaurus tooth except the tip. So these guys, we find actually quite a few of them here because there was like smorgasbord every night here for days and days when these dead dinosaurs were hanging out, and Allosaurus would come over and have free lunch.
So I was going to ask why so many varied species in this spot? Do you think?
So there was something happened that caused these sauropods to die here. It could have been a drought. it seems unlikely that they were like attacked by a herd of, or by a pack of Allosaurus. That's very unlikely. They were big animals, and so I think that some climactic or weather-related event like a drought maybe dried up their source of water, and they perished by this source of water, or in this, basically in the dried up riverbed. And then we had a giant rain that happened maybe even miles from here that brought a flood down, that a big wash of water that ripped up the bottom of the lake bed and ripped up the sides, the overbank deposits, the floodplain deposits, and buried the bones of these big dinosaurs, and buried with them the teeth of the Allosaurus from somebody hit the bone a little bit too hard with his bite and broke the tooth off.
Is there any evidence to suggest that they could have drowned, possibly?
So, I mean, we don't have this, so I'm just sort of speculating based on the evidence we have here.
Right.
There's no way to find out if they did drown. I mean, it's possible they could have drowned in the flood, but these bones were, because you'll notice the dinosaurs are not articulated. The bones are separated, so they were dead when that flood happened.
Right.
They were, kind of had been moved around a bit by Allosaurus and maybe Torvosaurus feeding on the carcasses, but the animals themselves were not alive when that flood hit.
Peter Larson is a remarkable human being, and I don't need to convince you of that. You can hear that in his voice, and I hope to provide you with high enough fidelity recordings here that not only can you hear what they're saying, but you can hear the emotion in these people's voices, that you can hear the emotion in the little girl's voice, that you can hear emotion in the BHI paleontologist voices, that you can hear emotion in Peter Larson's voice. And this was only day 1 of the dig. It's day 2 of HMNS Dino Dig 2022, but it's the first day of the actual dig. It's the first day of actually being on the bones. And it was a remarkable experience, and it will continue to be a remarkable experience. To keep you up to date, listener, of how this is going, how Dino Dig 2022 is going, HMNS Dino Dig 2022, how this is going to proceed. We have 3 days of digging, and then a day off where we go sightsee and do other things with the group. And then we have 3 more days of digging before we leave and see other things before making our way home to Houston. You just listened to the first day of actual digging the bone. The first day. I cannot wait to see and hear what happens for the rest of our trip here in Wyoming, at Devil's Tower, in Hewlett, at the Waugh Quarry. I want to remind you again, as you listen to the background banter of our wonderful dining experience to cap off the day at the Ponderosa Cafe around the corner from Devil's Tower Inn, I want to remind you that all pertinent links are in the podcast description. No matter how you're listening to the podcast, always check the description for some more goodies and some more links so that hopefully you become inspired by these podcasts. You can follow those links to start your own journey of discovery. With that, thank you so much for listening to day 2 of our HMNS Dino Dig 2022, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Stay safe and stay curious.